You're going to shoot 3 people with 1 bullet. What movie did you come from? Captain Torres asked with a laugh. The other officers in the briefing room couldn't hold back their chuckles either. Only one person wasn't laughing. 27-year-old First Lieutenant Elena Reyes sat with her hands clasped on the table, waiting in silence, because 6 hours later, when she neutralized 3 enemy leaders with a single shot from 1,847 meters away, no one was laughing. Everyone was staring at her, and there was no fear in those looks, only pure respect. But before we start this story, you need to understand who Elena Reyes was and why she could make a shot that even the best snipers in the military wouldn't dare to attempt. Elena grew up in a small town outside Madrid. Her father, Dr. Carlos Reyes, was one of the country's most respected ballistic engineers. He worked on military weapon systems, calculated bullet trajectories, and consulted on projects that pushed the boundaries of physics. Her mother, Professor Isabella Reyes, taught advanced physics courses at the university. Elena's childhood wasn't spent where most children played. She was making ballistic calculations at the dinner table, measuring wind resistance in the garden, and spending hours on target practice at her father's shooting range. "Little bird," her father would say every morning at 6 o'clock when they went to the range. A good sniper isn't just someone who aims well. A good sniper is someone who understands physics, internalizes mathematics, and approaches every shot like a scientific experiment. The weapon is just a tool. The real weapon is in your brain. When Elena was 12 years old, her father gave her a special lesson. "Today, I'm going to teach you something everyone says is impossible," Dr. Reyes had said. He placed 3 balloons on the range, side by side, with only 30 centimeters between them. "Now tell me, can you pop all 3 with 1 bullet?" Young Elena gave the logical answer. "No. 1 bullet pops 1 balloon, then stops." "Wrong," her father said with a smile. "A bullet carries momentum. If the first target is soft enough and the bullet's angle is perfect, the momentum continues. It moves to the second target, even to the third. Physics allows this. People just don't try it." That day, her father taught her how to make multi-target shots using specially loaded ammunition. With years of practice, Elena perfected this technique. By age 18, she could pop 5 balloons lined up in a row with a single bullet at the range. But of course, balloons weren't humans. And real war wasn't a shooting range. Elena studied aerodynamic engineering at university. When she applied to the military after graduation, her test results broke records. Her shooting abilities were perfect, her ballistic knowledge was at professor level, and her problem-solving capacity amazed all the instructors. But there was one problem. Elena was a woman, and female snipers in the Spanish military were still the exception, not the rule. Her first years were difficult. Male colleagues questioned her abilities. Commanders assigned her to routine tasks and kept her away from real operations. "You're good on paper, Reyes," a lieutenant would tell her. "But the field is different. We'll see what you do under pressure." Elena never complained. She just waited, because her father had taught her something else. Silent professionals don't try to prove themselves. They just execute when the opportunity comes. And that execution is so perfect that no one needs to say anything. The opportunity came after 6 years of military service. Elena was now serving in the Special Operations Unit, but she still hadn't been included in any critical operations. Until that morning, when Colonel Martinez opened the folder in his hands in the briefing room. "Listen," said the colonel, looking at the 12 officers in the room. "Intelligence has confirmed that within the next 48 hours, the 3 most important enemy leaders in the region will be in the same place at the same time. Commander Rafael Ortega, General Victor Vasquez, and Colonel Diego Mendoza. This trio has sabotaged 47 of our operations in the last 2 years, is responsible for the deaths of 23 of our soldiers, and controls the entire weapons smuggling network in the region." A deep silence fell over the room. Everyone knew these names. Capturing or neutralizing them had been the military's top priority for years. Here's the problem, Martinez continued. Tomorrow at 1400, all three will gather at a villa on the Cordoba border. According to intelligence, they'll have a meeting on the second-floor balcony of the villa, out in the open, unprotected. How long will they be exposed? Asked Major Santos. Maximum 10 minutes. During their cigarette breaks, Captain Torres leaned forward. What's the nearest shooting position? Martinez opened the map. The villa is on flat terrain. The nearest elevation is the hill to the north, 1,847 meters away. The room fell silent again. 1,847 meters was far beyond standard sniper shots. In normal operations, even 800 to 1,000 meters was considered long range. We need to hit all three simultaneously, said Martinez. If one falls, the others will immediately run inside. We won't get this chance again, but the distance is too far and they'll all be standing side by side. That's when Elena spoke. Her voice was calm and confident. I can hit all three with one bullet. The room froze. Everyone turned to her. Captain Torres was one of the first to laugh. You're going to shoot three people with one bullet. What movie did you come from? The other officers laughed too, but Elena's expression didn't change. She just looked at Colonel Martinez and waited. Reyes, Martinez said in a serious tone, this isn't a joke. We're talking about three high-value targets at 1,847 meters. Physically possible, Elena interrupted, if the bullet contacts three targets at the right angle, right speed, and right sequence, momentum isn't lost. It passes through the first target, reaches the second, and carries to the third. My father taught me 15 years ago. I've done this hundreds of times. At the range, said Torres. On balloons. This is real life, Reyes. Real people. I'm aware, Captain, Elena said coldly. But physics doesn't change. Whether it's balloons or humans, the rules of momentum are the same. Martinez took a deep breath. Reyes, you've been working in this unit for 3 years. You're a good officer, disciplined, trained, but you've never been in a critical operation. Now you're telling me your first mission will be the military's most important operation in the last 10 years. No, sir, said Elena. I'm telling you, I can make a shot that no one else can make. If you give me a chance, by this time tomorrow, 3 enemy leaders will be dead. I guarantee it. Martinez looked at her for a long time. Then he closed the file. Reyes, come with me. The rest of you, prepare. We're meeting again in 2 hours. In the colonel's office, Martinez turned to Elena. Look, Reyes, I respect your abilities. Your test results are outstanding. Your ballistic knowledge is undisputed. But this mission is too critical. If we make a mistake, we won't get another chance like this. Sir, I won't make any mistakes, said Elena, but let me show you something. Elena pulled a notebook from her bag. Pages and pages of ballistic calculations, wind analyses, momentum transfer formulas. I've been studying this scenario for the last 6 months. Different distances, different target arrangements, different ammunition types. I've calculated every variable needed for 1,847 meters. Martinez glanced through the notebook. The mathematics was flawless. The calculations were professional level. But have you ever tried this in real life? On live targets? No, sir, but I've successfully performed it 47 times in simulations and on ballistic gel blocks. My success rate is 94%. Martinez looked out of the window. This decision was one of the hardest of his career. What if Elena failed? What if the targets escaped? What if? Okay, Reyes, he finally said. You're taking the mission, but listen to me very carefully. Tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, you'll position yourself on that hill. You'll wait motionless for 8 hours. At 1400, you'll have exactly a 10-minute window. If you can't make the shot, mission is canceled. Understood? Yes, sir. One more thing. If you fail, your career is over, but if you succeed... Martinez looked at her. You'll go down in history." The next morning at 4:30, Elena was checking her equipment. JTAC M200 sniper rifle, specially prepared .408 caliber ammunition, advanced telescopic scope, wind measurement devices, rangefinder, meteorological equipment. Everything had to be in perfect condition. At 6 o'clock, she reached the hill. The position was perfect. She could clearly see the villa 1,847 meters away. The ground was stable, wind calm for now, viewing angle ideal. Elena put on her ghillie suit, positioned her rifle, and began to wait. 90% of sniping is waiting. Elena knew this very well. Hours passed. The sun rose. Temperature increased. Her body started to ache, but she didn't move. Her eyes constantly on the scope, breathing controlled, pulse low. At 13:45, the earpiece crackled. "Overwatch, this is command. Targets have entered the building. Estimated 15 minutes until they come out to the balcony." "Copy command," Elena whispered. "Ready." Now it was time for final calculations. Wind speed 12 kilometers per hour left to right. Humidity 68%. Air pressure 1,013 hectopascals. Temperature 28 degrees. Distance 1,847 meters. Angle 15 degrees down. Elena processed all these variables in her mind. Her father was right. Everything comes down to mathematics. At 13:58, the villa's balcony opened. 3 men came out: Commander Rafael Ortega, General Victor Vasquez, Colonel Diego Mendoza. Just as intelligence said, they stood side by side. They lit their cigarettes. Elena could see all of them through her scope, left to right. Rafael, Victor, Diego. About 40 centimeters between them. Their positions were almost perfect. "Overwatch, targets confirmed," said the voice in her ear. "You are cleared to engage. Repeat, you are cleared to engage." Elena took a deep breath, then released half of it. She found that silent moment between heartbeats. The crosshairs aligned exactly on Raphael's head, but Elena shifted 3 centimeters to the right, because the bullet would travel left to right, and wind drift had to be accounted for. Finger on the trigger. The world slowed down. 15 years of training, thousands of hours of practice, countless calculations, all coming to this moment. She fired. The JTAC's suppressed barrel made a soft sound. When the bullet left the muzzle, it was traveling at 914 meters per second, 2.4 seconds. The bullet would stay in the air for 2.4 seconds. Elena watched through the scope. Everything seemed like slow motion. The bullet entered Raphael's left temple, passed through the skull, continued without losing momentum, hit Victor's neck, crushed the spine, continued again, and entered Diego's body just behind his right ear and stopped. 2.4 seconds. 3 men. 1 bullet. All 3 fell, almost simultaneously. 1 forward, 1 backward, 1 to the side. "Command, this is Overwatch," Elena said, her voice still calm. 3 targets neutralized. Mission complete. There was silence on the other end of the earpiece for a few seconds. Then came Colonel Martinez's voice, slightly trembling. "Overwatch, can you confirm? Did you say 3 targets?" "Yes, sir. Commander Rafael, General Victor, and Colonel Diego. All 3 down. Single shot." My God. Elena put the rifle in safe mode, got up from her position. After lying motionless for 8 hours, her body was stiff, but she didn't care. The mission was complete. When she returned to base, the briefing room was full. Not just the morning team, but the entire command staff. When Elena walked in, the room stood up. Colonel Martinez approached her. On his face was an expression Elena had never seen before. Pure, unfiltered admiration. "Reyes," Martinez said, "you just made the most incredible shot in military history." Drone footage came in. 3 targets, 1 bullet, 1,847 meters. The ballistics team analyzed the images. The bullet entered the first target, passed through the second target's neck, and stopped in the third target. Momentum transfer perfect. Angle calculation flawless. This will be taught in textbooks. Captain Torres stepped forward. His mocking smile from this morning was gone. Reyes, I owe you an apology. I questioned your abilities. I was wrong. Elena saluted. Captain, no apology necessary. I just did my job. No, Martinez said firmly. You didn't just do your job. You did the impossible. And in doing so, you eliminated the 3 biggest threats facing our military. The following weeks were a storm. Elena's shot became legend in Special Operations Command. The footage, despite being classified, began to be shown in ballistics classes at military training centers. Elena was appointed as head instructor for sniper training. 6 months later, she was promoted to Major Elena Reyes. She wasn't just taking missions anymore, she was planning them. And most importantly, no one talked about her gender anymore. They only talked about her abilities. One day, a young female soldier approached her. Major, I want to ask you something. When you made that shot, were you scared? Did you think about what if you failed? Elena smiled. You know, my father always told me something. Fear is the result of being unprepared. If you prepare enough, you feel confidence, not fear. Before making that shot, I prepared for 15 years. I practiced thousands of hours. I solved hundreds of calculations. I wasn't scared because I was ready. But what about when everyone told you that you couldn't do it? Then I proved them wrong. But I didn't do it for them. I did it for myself. Because silent professionals don't try to prove themselves. They just execute when the opportunity comes. Today, Colonel Elena Reyes is one of the youngest colonels in the Spanish Special Forces. After that shot, she served in 14 critical operations, all successful, but none as famous as that first shot. You're going to shoot 3 people with 1 bullet, Captain Torres had said with a laugh. Elena hadn't answered because she preferred to show rather than talk. And from 1,847 meters away, in a 2.4-second flight, when a single bullet took out 3 enemy leaders, no one was laughing. They were all just staring at her. And what they saw in that stare wasn't fear. It was respect. Have you ever accomplished something everyone said was impossible? When everyone was laughing at you, did you finally prove them wrong? Elena's story reminds us of this. Real talent is silent. It doesn't try to prove itself. It just executes when the opportunity comes. If this story inspired you, subscribe, because many more stories of silent heroes are waiting for you.